Jingle Bells by Nick Butterworth. Christmas time. A happy time, or so it should be. Why then on this Christmas Eve did two small mice look so unhappy? It's that cat, grumbled Lottie to her brother Jack. He always spoils things. Ah, yes, that cat. It should have been wonderful for the mice living in a cart shed on a farm. There were games to play, places to explore, and usually plenty to eat. There was only one problem: that cat. The mice had been hiding food for their Christmas dinner, but the cat had discovered their hiding place. He didn't particularly like grapes or cheese or cake, but still he had eaten every bit and left the mice with nothing. That cat. Cheer up, said Jack. Look what I found. It was an old glove. Jack began to chew at it. We can't eat that, said Lottie. Jack went on chewing. Soon he had gnawed off two of the glove's fingers. There, he said, Christmas stockings, one each. We can hang them up for Father Christmas. Brilliant, said Lottie. I've never had a Christmas stocking. That night, as the mice snuggled down to sleep, they wondered what Father Christmas would bring them. Lottie had written their names on a note, which she put next to their Christmas stockings, so that Father Christmas would know who they were for. Soon Lottie began to snore, Jack began to dream, and the air was filled with the sound of sleigh bells. Christmas morning. The day was fresh and bright as Lottie and Jack hurried excitedly to look at their Christmas stockings. They were empty. Nothing, said Jack sadly. Not even a nut. Lottie picked up the note that she had written the night before. Look at this, she said. Underneath their names, someone had written, Not here, gone away for Christmas. I know who wrote that, said Jack. They both knew. It's time we taught that cat a lesson, said Lottie. But what can we do, said Jack. He's so big and strong. Well, said Lottie, I think we should go and talk to Tonchi. Tonchi was a rat. Actually, his real name was Gavin, but he liked to be called Tonchi. He wore glasses that had no glass in them, and he wore clothes that he had borrowed from dolls in the farmhouse attic. He also borrowed furniture from a doll's house in the attic, which he said made his own place more homely. Lottie and Jack made their way through the snow towards the barn where Tonchi lived. Suddenly, Jack spotted something. It was shiny and golden. It's a bell, said Jack. It's a sleigh bell, said Lottie. It must have fallen off Father Christmas's sleigh. It's lovely. Let's take it with us. We'll show it to Tonchi. When the mice reached the barn, they were quite out of breath, but there was still a difficult climb to make. At last, puffing and panting, they came to a little door at the top of the barn. Before Jack could knock, the door opened. Good morning, and a very Merry Christmas to you, said the rat. The mice smiled and replied nervously. Then they stepped inside. Tonchi shut the door. It's hard to say exactly what the mice and the rat said to each other, but whatever it was, when the door opened again, all three were smiling. Thank you very much, said Lottie and Jack together. Tonchi smiled. "The pleasure is all mine," he said. "Cats can be such a terrible nuisance." Later, after a Christmas dinner of some borrowed fruitcake that Tonchi had given to them, the mice could be seen wrapping up a present. Later still, they tried not to be seen as they cautiously carried their parcel towards the farmhouse. Boxing Day, Mrs. Mackey, the farmer's wife, swung her feet out of bed and into her slippers. At the foot of the stairs, the cat brushed past her legs. "Hello, Angus," she said. "What's this?" She picked up a small parcel that lay on the mat and read the label. "To Angus, with love." "It's an extra present for you, Angus," she said to the cat. Angus watched as Mrs. Mackey opened the parcel. What could it be? "It's a little bell," said Mrs. Mackey, "on a pretty red ribbon." Before he could escape, Mrs. Mackey took a firm hold of Angus and tied the ribbon round his neck. The little bell jingled under his chin. "There," she said. "You look lovely." Angus twisted his neck uncomfortably and the bell jingled again. He pulled a face and pawed at the bell. "Don't you dare," said Mrs. Mackey. "You keep it on." It was about tea time in the afternoon. Lottie and Jack were having great fun in the snow. Suddenly they stopped and listened. They could hear the jingling of a little bell. "Quick, someone's coming," whispered Lottie. The mice ran to hide in the cart shed. As they peered out, they saw a very cross-looking Angus go stalking past. He looked from side to side and shook his head. The little bell jingled merrily. Grunted Angus, and he stumped off, jingling as he went. The mice burst into a fit of the giggles, and Lottie began to sing. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Now Angus can't sneak up on us when we go out to play. They laughed and laughed. "It may not have been a very Merry Christmas," said Jack, "but it does look like being a Happy New Year." The end.